Episode 1: The Silence We Inherit.
Welcome. Hello, everyone. If you could do me a favor and drop in the chat where are you dialed in from? State, country, I would love to hear from you. Excellent. And in the meantime, I just want to I have a few things that I wanted to share with you all. First, I want to welcome this beautiful community. It is such an honor to be with you live on this new moon. And it's our first gathering in this very sacred space. And if you are tuning in for the first time, I'm Lily Pokam Sangshantalungsi, and this is Rooted and Becoming podcast, brought to you by Gold Trico, where we reclaim our voice, rewrite our legacy, and rise rooted and becoming in our truth. So today, as I mentioned, we're gathering in the stillness of the new moon. It's the time for reflection, setting intentions, and gentle beginnings. So if you are here, it's not by accident. You are part of this story and your voice matters. You notice as you dialed in, this session is being recorded. Thank you so much for joining us. I had mentioned on the release of my first podcast, October 6th, that this podcast itself is an entry point. It gives you stories and conversations that open doors into your heart. And each episode over the next 12 months is like a mirror reflecting back the struggles and strengths that so many of us share. I created journal worksheets and tools. So please take a moment and download your free copy of your journal worksheet before we begin. So I'm going to put into the chat, make sure you all have a copy of the journal worksheet. Please go ahead and download your free copy. I hope is for you to take these reflections deeper with writing exercises and prompts and practices to help you connect the stories to your own life. And after each episode, I host a live community Q&A circle, which we are doing today, and where we will share more stories in a safe space. So the podcast, Rooted and Becoming, isn't something that you consume, it's something that you practice. And month by month, you're not only listening to transformation, you are living it. And over time, these small acts of journaling, reflection, and sharing with your community, they become stepping stones towards healing, self-worth, and a sense of belonging. I actively mentor students and professionals in my field. However, I do want to be clear that I'm not a licensed therapist. I believe in paying it forward, and I hope I can share my experiences in healing and transformation. I would love for you to take whatever resonates with you and just leave the rest behind. Okay, so let's see where folks have joined us. We have Santa Barbara, California, the Philippines. Oh my goodness, love it. And Alta Vista, Virginia. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Kiara, Daisy, and Noonie, thank you so much. Noonie Thibodeau, my sister. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Excellent. So before we begin, I would love for us to just take a moment and ground ourselves. You could do me the honor. If you're comfortable, let's go ahead and just before we begin, just to ground ourselves. If you place your hand, left hand and right hand over your heart, and if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. Inhale the courage of your ancestors and exhale the silence that no longer serves you. Inhale the truth of who you are and exhale the fear of being seen. Feel your feet, your body, your breath, and know that you belong here. Okay. Wonderful. So, in the first episode, we were reflecting on the silence we inherit, the silences that pass down through our families, our cultures, the systems. You heard a lot from me and my sister, and today we want to hear from you. So, we put together these prompts to hopefully allow you to reflect on your own stories. So, let's begin. I'm going to share my desktop so you can see the prompts. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you could see it. Excellent. Thank you so much. So our second question, what part of the guest experience around silence that mirrored your life? Was there a moment of emotional silence in your upbringing? Or did something that Noonie has said, or that I had said, that stirred a long held memory? Go ahead and answer. And if I'll give you a moment to write down your answer. And if you have the courage to share, just know that it's a very safe space. Please go ahead and raise your hand using in the Zoom to raise your hand if you'd like to share what part of the guest experience around silence mirrored your own life. And I truly loved, Noonie, how you shared the fact that you weren't able to talk when we arrived in the US and you just knew to nod and up and down and back and forth. I can just envision you doing that. And I cannot imagine how that must have felt.
Well, I'd be happy to share my experience with that. Well, it's what's funny now that I think about it, when people meet me, they always say you are so energized, you are accommodating, and there's a little connection that brings you together. But now that when I heard Noonie is being quiet, and I'm never a quiet girl, honestly. Even in grade school when I was in the Philippines, my name was on the board saying noisy girl. And then what? But when I did come to America, the only thing that made that connection with the quietness, it wasn't brought about by me needing to be quiet. I think it was more so shocked in a way because in the backstory, growing up, I was in an all girls school from kindergarten all the way to, I'd say, seventh grade. So when I came to South Carolina, I was just like, Mom, there are boys in my class. And that actually kept me quiet because if you grow up in an environment where it is not normal to be around, how do you react? And then it's so funny because I did like this boy in school, and it was like, I still remember his name, but I'm not going to say it. Just in case somewhere along the line you'll be like, okay, his name was Wayne. He had the first name and a last name, but I liked him, and he was your typical all around, boy, baseball player and all this. But circling back to what I was saying is that the silence was not because I was told to be quiet. It was more my reaction to the fact that this is something new. How do I navigate it? And as so funny, I was pretty much quiet, but it was a comfortable silence. At the end of the year, I had a courage to come up to him and say, Wayne, I think you are cool. He turned to his friend and said, Oh my God, this whole year, I thought you were mute.
Oh my.
Right? And so it was funny that way.
Yeah.
So that just brought about that memory. I'm like, silent is, learning this also because silent could be golden in certain circumstances, but in becoming the journey of what Noonie had of being silent, being quiet, that just brought that memory back to
Yeah.
me. And it was kind of those moments where I had to realize that, certain elements in your life that your reaction is to be silent. And it is the environment that was to me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing and trusting us with that.
Well,
Truly.
I just remembered it when I was watching the whole, and I'm thinking, why was that reaction? I said earlier with you, Lily, there are certain parts of the workbook that I wouldn't bring myself to even answer because I'm not there yet. And so with this story, in terms of my experience and being, a starting point for me.
Absolutely. And I thank you again for sharing that. And, you know, all have different, and whatever, comfortable, um, sharing and also take the time that you need in order to feel comfortable writing down, your own stories, right? I think everybody has their own timeline and their own healing journey, and what you'll know in your heart what's best, works best for you. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So before we go on to the next question, want to make sure no one else wanted to share. Okay. In question 3, inherited patterns. What survival strategies or roles have been passed down in your family, and how have they helped you, or how have they hurt you? I can share a little bit this, and perhaps some others can add, and hopefully by sharing it gives folks permission to know that they can share as well. Always found, in my view, as I was growing up in the US, from the early beginning, when I shared with Noonie that I just have these memories of like recyclables and, being inside trash bins and picking recyclables to make extra money. And so I think the idea of hustling and earning and that scarcity mindset also had been like in some ways in my mind for since I was young. And so what I've seen, there are times I hold on to things for a very long time. Like material, like just leftovers, for example. I'll go to a restaurant and will have leftovers, I'll bring it home, and it goes to waste. I think like I probably have said that to my kids as well. It's just this idea of scarcity mindset, because you just don't throw in away. And I try to be mindful that I'm not a hoarder, you know what I mean? Like to try to keep my space, to keep me focused and on task. But I have found early on in my years that some of the survival strategies that I had was around like onto things because I don't know when I might need it. And it just ended up, yeah, just was an issue. And I think it was just part of that scarcity mindset. When we talk about survival strategies and onto things, I would say that probably in the long run hurt me more than it helped me. Is anybody want to share inherited patterns or?
Yeah, I would like to share part of the story that I'm years old right now. So in the Philippines, usually around 24, 18 up until 24 to 27, all of the youngsters right now, or pre-adult, if you could say it, they are, oh my gosh, I'm teary-eyed. I'm sorry. Of the people, they are in a relationship right now. Like, of them are married. I'm sorry. I think the role that I have right now, for family, it's being the eldest. It hurts. I don't know, but eldest hurts me more to think about it every time because of the responsibilities. Here in the Philippines, our family is that off. Came from like very poor, that we ate from scrapes, but we asked for money, like for money or like for money, but for assistance to our relatives just to cope up with the day, to 3 times a day before. VWire actually would get VWire helped me a lot because the salary here in the Philippines, it's way than working in a US salary, so it helps me a lot today. But the role of being the eldest and the think about it, now many people was asking me, when are you getting married, when are you having kids, something like that. And response to that actually is, I don't have an idea, really. Up until now, I do have carried the responsibility that was passed down to me, since both of my parents right now is working. So basically, I'm the breadwinner of the family, and so sorry. I'm currently helping my brother right now finish school. So I think the role that was passed down to me, being the eldest, thinking about it hurts me more. Thinking, what about if I'm the youngest? Maybe I do have the chance
Mhm.
to do something like
Mhm.
responsibility. So yeah, a role that was passed down to me that I'm struggling about, but actually I'm very
Yeah.
thankful, being mature and thinking about all of the opportunities that I have right now. Somehow
Yeah.
I'm very grateful, but about it, um, it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you so
yeah.
much. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know I don't have the experience of it must feel like to be eldest and that extra responsibility, that burden is put on you, especially being the eldest. I have an older sister who I love so much, and I think like my second mom, and I owe her a lot for my success and the sacrifices that she has made. She was the one that attended my parent teacher conference. She was the one that um gave me advice in life, and um she played essentially the role that you were playing for your kids. And I have to say that um the universe, how this has become in terms of you and playing this role. I hope your siblings and folks know how blessed they are to have you in that role. And takes a very strong person play that role. And it just so happens my oldest sister is on the call now. She just dialed in. No, she's at work. She said, try to dial in. I'll be on mute because I'm working, but I just want you to know that bond is so strong and you're so beautiful to be able to step into that role and see you and thank you for playing that role, because it is a role that not an easy role, that's for sure. Um,
Love that your sister's here, your older sister. It's almost, I tell you, around the universe, it's just comes to where it needs to be.
yeah.
Like what Daisy sharing and your sister's here. Would love to hear from your sister in terms of what she can share as being an older sister.
Yeah, I know she's currently on mute because she's at work. But she's like, I'm gonna dial in and I'll put myself on mute. But next topic for Rooted and Becoming month 3, the next topics is being the good daughter. And it actually gonna be the guest on that podcast. And I hope for her to share um struggles and everything that you just talked about. Hope to contribute to that role. I think it definitely will resonate, and definitely want you back on that for the live session. It'd be, I think, a really great one for healing on as it relates to that particular role. It is one of the toughest. So thank you for sharing that, Daisy. We will go ahead and go to the next. Let me see if I can move to number 4. Silence. About a time when you broke a silence in your life, whether it was a personal, cultural, or generational. What happened? How did you feel afterwards? I think the story here, the one that you shared about going to the grade school and both boys and girls and not talking for the year. I could see how this very much would fall into that story. You say?
Yeah, it's actually unusual that just to clarify, I did talk but only all to girls. It's kind of like I
Oh,
don't foresee myself being silent that long in a school environment.
yeah.
Although I was more a little bit so I was guarded and I was only talking to I think two people at the school and one was my sister.
Oh, okay.
If you look at it this way too, demographically, coming from another country, then you're in Charleston.
Mhm.
Everybody was nice. Not my husband. Nice is not a good word. Everybody was welcoming because I was almost the entity, right? In a school where it was 80% African American and then mostly Caucasian. I Asian population at the school was a handful, like maybe there's six of us.
Mhm.
So yeah, good memory though.
Imagine. Well, we can, there's about 10 questions, so I just want to go ahead and maybe just kind of, and folks can fill out the form on their own time. And if there's a certain question that really kind of you and you want to um, come on mute and that would be amazing. Thank you. Okay. So the next question is there a quote, a message or lesson, a phrase, a quote from the guests that stuck to you and why? So our guest is Noonie Thibodeau in episode 1. If it wants to come off mute, and since we have a small group, I have to make it so formal. Go ahead and just come off mute and share if you have a favorite phrase, lesson, or quote that stuck with you.
I think we're all shy now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit of moments of
yeah,
silence. But
yeah.
one of the things that working on and a lot of gold nuggets, there are so many. One that stood out and it's also aligned with what is close to your heart, Lily, is that teach a boy to be an individual, and I'm not quoting it properly. So and when you teach a girl, it becomes this in family and generational. And for
Yeah.
me it's true because nowadays we are into girls education, finding our voices, and that resonates because we
Mhm.
have daughters. I have a daughter. She
Yeah.
is outspoken by nature just because also of the
Mhm.
genetics. And grandmother was a very strong minded person. I love my grandmother posthumously after 100 years. She given an award because she was one of the first CPA, certified public accountants in the Philippines. And she was the of PICPA, which is Filipino International for accountants. And so for me, it really goes to show you that everybody has heart, but I think in my heart and how I view, putting one gender or another, but as women or girls, we have our heart full of love and more so empathy, generosity heart. And so that really is that I take into, you know, and from your one-on-one with Noonie.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And I 100% agree with I've my experience as well. I mean, it played a role in my life, or a lot of women in my life who all tend to like to pay forward and to create room for sort of idea of creating space for others. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I this podcast is to create space for others and pay it forward in a way that um platform that hopefully will have a bigger reach. And that's my hope. So it's great. Thank you for sharing that, Noonie, and thank you, Kiara, for sharing your on that. So moving to question 6. Now, what is one way that you can use your voice this week internally or externally, please go ahead and, indicate and follow it with an action. What's always great about setting intention or goal is to an actual action. So which will make it more productive, right? So if it wants to share what they want doing this week, whether or not it could be a journal entry or speaking at a meeting, conflict, being able to talk to someone with having a courageous conversation, if you will, just come off mute and something that you plan on doing and how you want to follow through. I can share something. It's actually, there's one of the things that I struggle with because my is very like grade school level. And I'm working on improving my skills. And so what I to do this is to more time with my mom as she's getting older, to have a conversation about how we can improve her just ways to let her know, one, how much she is loved, and then how much we want her to be with us for as long as possible. But that's going to take some changes, diet. She's been that I always worry about for myself, having sort of that type 2 diabetes that so I'm always cognizant of, weight and stuff like that. And so, but I have just a very compassionate around how we can get her to a place where she feels loved and cared for, not forced per se, but to know that we have to have some changes in, we all want her to live as long as possible. That's not going to be an easy one because she sweets and bread and all the stuff that we love, right? Desserts, bread. Oh my gosh. Yes. But anyhow, that's what I'm going to follow it this week. So.
Well, one of the conversations I would like to have with my sister is I did this last time, Lily, trying to get her with me. And I think it's a great opportunity for her to be on this, becoming journey. When you do it together, especially with a sibling, and maybe Daisy, your sister, or brother or sibling, it just creates that bond. And so by again digging deep to what you're rooted at and have someone who knows you helps. I think again, it's a conversation that it's not easy because when you start this journey, it almost has to be a full on commitment. There's no halfsies, as my kids would say. Let's have a sandwich, halfsies, right? Because it's for your own benefit, for your betterment, and so she has been invited. But of course, you lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I'm just making sure as a commitment to myself that, it's open to have her come when she's ready.
That's great. And that's a great analogy. There's only so much that we can do as individuals. And at the end of the day, I could agree in terms of like we horse to the trough, and yeah, are responsible for ourselves at the end of the day. Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you, Kara, for that. And we will see your sister one day. That'd be amazing. Would love to meet her. So our next question is around reconnecting with our inner child. Now, this one, if you're comfortable with it, go ahead and to breathe with your inner child and to your eyes and picture yourself at an age when you felt small and scared and unheard. Where were you at that time? What do you see around you? What were you wearing? What was the expression on your face? Maybe you remember the smell, the people around you, feeling. I have a memory that kind of traumatic. I had a few growing up. as a refugee child. But one of them for me was I had a fear of the toilet. I know it sounds so. I had the fear of toilet. Now I have the fear of porta potties. That's like a big fear for me. But like the toilet was a big fear for me. The flush. It's just so scary. It was, child. I was so scared of. I thought I was going to get sucked in to the toilet. I remember that and US they gave us after medicine, but it was like medicine to get rid of all the parasites in your body. I remember like squatting on the toilet, and I know this is going to be graphic, but like the literally would come out right from you excrete them, and I just remember like being with it like coming out, and my mom is like trying to help like pull out these parasites, these that were like, I know this is the most horrific experience. And I just remember just being so scared. And at one point I didn't want to use the toilet too. I'm like, I think I might have taken a dump on the carpet. Sorry, mom, dad, I'm so sorry that I did that. I do remember taking a dump on the carpet because I was scared of the toilet. And yeah.
There's no easy way to explain it to, pay for them, but yeah.
Yeah, moments of I definitely had just different moments, and that was one that there's TMI. Thought I'd share that. Okay, so Noonie, for sure, you that bond there. So the next question, to let we were to write a letter, a message to your inner child that is speaking, as if your inner child is speaking to you, like what they say to you, what are they afraid of, and what do they wish someone had told them back then? I think just to come off of that same story for me, it's because I don't remember, is the process that this is what's going to happen, go to the now. I had a colonoscopy not too long ago, but every step of the way, they would tell me what was going to happen. So there was less fear, but I think my inner child would tell me that okay, that don't be afraid, that this is just part of the process, getting all the parasites, getting, unrooting all of that so that it's a nice foundation. And this is normal, that this is what is happening. I think not having that as a kid and experiencing that, there was a lot of fear and not a lot of answers. And so I think I would tell them that it's okay. Don't be afraid. This is what's going to happen, and I'm going to die.
One thing that resonates with me, Lily, is when you say it's okay. And there's actually lighten the mood a bit. There is a movie, a K drama. It's okay not to be okay. But I love that show, and it just reassures us as kids. And that's what I've learned, kids, is to make sure that whatever happens, I'm here for you, number one. And number two is it's okay when you're feeling blue. It's part of the process.
Yes, it's okay to have all those the feelings, and absolutely. Thank you, Kiara, for saying that, because I think at the end of the day, that kind of reassurance just lets us know that this is normal, that this is it's part of the process. Trust the process, right? And the feelings. Love it. Thank you for sharing that.
I also want to say welcome to Nathan. I see Nathan. Put him on the spot.
Welcome,
Hi,
welcome.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to listen in.
And I'm excited to have you join us. Thank you so much. And it's my son. So for those on the call, Daisy, Kiara, yeah,
Wow, exciting to have you
Hi,
here. So,
Nathan.
when you said, I'm here, thank you for having me, and listening, not listening, it's sharing too. So, once you hop in, you're on the hook. You're going to be voluntold. I'm just kidding.
No, very, very.
Thank you for joining us. So to prompt number 9, we're getting very close now to towards the end of our worksheet. Right. So responding to your present self, right back to your current self, like what you want your younger self to know. How do you forgive them for? And how can you protect and nurture them now? I think part of the conversation we had kind of a little bit, but please answer that in the prompt. If you want to continue on this topic and you have a story you want to share, please feel free to come on, unmute, share your story. Yeah, definitely telling younger self that it's going to be okay. Trust the process. It's okay to have all those feelings. Yeah, for sure. And the last reflection here is around integration. Okay. So came up during this dialogue that surprised you, and what do you want to carry forward into your healing journey? I'll give you guys a moment to answer in the prompt. And if anybody wants to share their thoughts, please feel free to come unmute and share. For me, I so grateful and honored to have each of you on this call. And it's also a reminder as well that we all come with our own stories, our own challenges, our struggles. And I hope that this platform will just let you know, as Kiara said, such grace, that it's okay. Like whatever that we're feeling, it's okay to feel them because that's your truth. And I so appreciate every single one of you on this call for sharing your truth. And I look forward to seeing you on our live session, which is going to be around the of belonging. So I look forward to that. But I hope that from today's please continue to journal. Use to the door to your healing journey. And thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you for showing up and your own voice. And please rooted and becoming. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you again for sharing and being brave and sharing your stories.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kiara.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Nathan, for joining us.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Can't wait for the next one.
Please follow and subscribe at Gold Tree Co. Stay rooted and becoming and worthy beyond measure.